Assalamu alaikum, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Last Days podcast. A lot of people banging on, it's the last days. Well, if it is indeed the last days, then inshallah we will, via this podcast, help you navigate through the last days. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very interesting one. We're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about materialism. We're going to be talking about lack of political change and impetus from the Muslim Ummah and the leaders. We are going to be talking about the West as a role model. We're going to be talking about streamers.
The West as a role model?
Absolutely.
I thought I misheard you. Oh, you did say that.
I did, unfortunately. Okay. But Khalid, money. Yeah?
Give us a fiver.
Yeah. Got any spare change? So money, it's a double-edged sword. If we talk about money, then certain people that are well off will look at us and go, oh, practicing people telling us money is haram and this and that. Okay. Then on the other hand, if we're like, okay, we got to earn wealth, we got to do this. Oh, look at these unqualified people talking about earning wealth and being entrepreneurs, and this is very red pill, this and that. So that adequately describes what money is. It's a double-edged sword. It can be used against good, and it could be used against, for evil as well. Like a knife, it can be used to, we're in London, it can be used to, and it can also be used to cut apples as well. So let's start off with this moment in time. It is a very generic question, but how does the Ummah at large, even though we're not a monolith, feel free to talk about communities or whatnot. How does the Ummah view money? Mal, Raugra, Wonga, Dosh.
I was waiting for some more, just in case you had any. Look, I think at the moment there seems to be. We're living in a capitalist society at the moment. We're living in a society where materialism is on the rise, where lots of things are available to us at a price. And in order to get those things, in order to have those things, in order to elevate our status through those things, we need money to do that. Now, there is an adage that says, money doesn't buy happiness. And I personally, as a therapist, believe that's true. However, money does afford you opportunity. And there's a big difference in that, because money can allow you to carve out your own time. Money can allow you to open up things that you may not have previously had before, because you're tied either as a wage slave or to an organization or to a company where your time is being traded off for that money. So having access to wealth gives you ample opportunity to use it, as you said, either for good or either for bad. Now, if we use an Islamic framework, then we're encouraged to use it for good. Some of that through either investment, some of that through charity, some of that through spending on ourselves and our families. But we're living in a time where wealth is very accessible. There are so many means by which we can access wealth, which we can generate wealth. Technology is on the rise, where it's giving us an opportunity to bring that income in. And I think that Muslims need to be very more aware of how we can use this to both better ourselves, our families, and then our communities at large.
There was an OnlyFans model who, when the host was asking her about how her son would view her profession and what she does, she goes, that's fine. When he grows up, he can cry in a Lamborghini. So what do you think about that, Khalid? I mean, surely it softens the blows, softens the punches. Having money, it's good, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
do you,
maybe it does buy happiness.
Well, you'd be pressed to believe that, especially in my profession, where I see many people who are very affluent, who sit in that chair and feel very lost, very broken, without purpose, living in a vacuum, despite having access to anything they want, really. Happiness, or contentment, I should say, isn't something that you can buy.
No, but you're conflating two terms here, happiness and contentment.
No, exactly. So happiness is something that people chase. They think that happiness is a thing that they can chase. Happiness,
the Americans call it the pursuit of happiness, right?
but it's subjective. What is happiness? Is happiness, I want a big house, then I want a car. What's next? Once you have those things, I had a friend of mine once, he said a very
Paul,
interesting...
surely. Money can buy happiness. What do you think?
I'm just trying to remember the words of that amazing hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, where he says, about the person who has a valley full of gold. Will not be happy with that. He'll want a second valley of gold.
Exactly.
I'm kind of paraphrasing it. And this is true. This is not just a pious statement. This is psychologically true of human beings. We never have enough. But when, I'm comfortably off, but we want more. It's never enough. And I think that's the problem. We need to be content. Contentment is the secret, which is an ongoing state. Happiness is fleeting. It changes with the world. I mean, how depressing is it at the moment outside where the days are short, it's grey and raining, but it'll pass. And then sunny days will happen. It's cyclical, it changes. But contentment is something beneath the surface.
This is it. Just going back to what Paul was saying, that hadith, I was going to give you an example of a friend of mine who he wanted to put in for a really expensive car, right? And there was somebody on the road who had a Rolls Royce Cullinan, which is like the Jeep Rolls Royce.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, so I rang him.
They're really ugly, actually. I don't like them at all. I mean, well, the classic Rolls Royce is very it's stylish and sleek and handsome. This is a beast of a car. Yeah.
And so I rang him and I was like, there's a Cullinan on the road. He goes, what? Who's got that? He goes, where does he go after this? Helicopter? Because it's, and it's that thing, isn't it? It's a progression until you actually reach this glass ceiling.
And there's no limit.
There's no limit.
No limit.
Yeah.
But surely if you've got loads of money, you're going to be more happier than somebody who's trying to make ends meet, can't pay the rent, can't afford to buy the latest shoes. You know what I mean, Khalid?
Yeah, but I think there's a distinction that we have to make, which is wealth where your brain is no longer engaged, or wealth where you can now afford opportunity. There's two different things. There's some people in the world who've got so much money that they don't know what to do with it. And so they're not using their brains anymore in terms of how to use that money.
Yeah, I pay somebody else to use their brains. I don't need to.
Then what's the use of that money to you if somebody else is using it, if it's your money?
No, brains. I don't need to use brains. I just enjoy myself and I hire other people to do the legwork for me.
What type of leg? No. The thing is, if you
the heavy lifting. I don't want to be going there
but that's
9 o'clock in the morning. I'll just go there 11, pay someone in the morning to do the heavy lifting, and then I turn up, just observe everything. Okay, everyone doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. Khalas, I'm off.
Yeah, but that's just management, isn't it? That's just management, and that should be a given if you have that wealth.
The pursuit of pleasure as an aim in life, does it work? In my experience, this is not news, the more as one pursues pleasure, it diminishes. It has a half-life, then a half-life. It reduces in its impact. So you need even more pleasure to compensate for the lack of pleasure. And it's a fool's errand because it doesn't actually give you... So the direct pursuit of happiness or pleasure is actually a bad objective in life. It's a fool's paradise. So we need other objectives. So it's a byproduct, is it not, of other things? So regular prayer, as Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. The indirect consequence of that, or the direct consequence of that, is a certain contentment, a certain rootedness in life, in this divine ordered pattern of prayer. Yeah. So, but that's not pursuing pleasure. That's something else. But the byproduct is the satisfaction of being in the presence of God, for example.
I think that word is useful. Pleasure. I think that's the word, opposed to sort of contentment or happiness. It's pleasure. It's that chasing pleasure, using finances to chase pleasure, I think.
And I think the point that you made was each time you do something pleasurable, the threshold of the dopamine that's released as a result increases. And that's why you're now chasing the next high.
That's it.
And each time it goes up. And then when you're trying to do something mundane like reading a book or sitting in a park for half an hour, you just can't do it. You have a visceral reaction to it.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, because you're seeking the flood of those neurotransmitters, aren't you? Because you're now so used to feeling that high. And it's a spike, isn't it? It goes up like this. You feel great for a while, then it comes back down. But it comes back down just as fast as it goes up. Mm-hmm. Whereas something mundane, which you are grateful for, kind of peaks at a very steady level. And it kind of keeps you there.
So you become a slave to your chemistry, in other words, isn't it?
But we all are. Essentially, we all are. And that's the thing. And because we're so used to now having things at our disposal which create those spikes in us, even a double tap on your social media, for example, when you see so and so has liked your video or whatever it is, that sends a little surge inside you.
Do you see the way he pointed at me when he said liked your video? He didn't point at you.
No. Well, you're more popular, you see. Right? So this is the reason.
It's just easier for me to stretch that way than it is that way.
Don't ruin it, Khalid. All right. So let's there's two sides of the ummah. Yeah, on the one side you've got the practicing folk that deem money to be satanic. No, don't ask for money. Running after money is not a good thing, and because of that, a lot of imams, they get paid less, they get scammed. And I'm talking about the traditional imams, not the ones on social media and the likes. And these guys, they turn up, they do stuff for free. Their time really does not get taken seriously. Yeah. And even when a person's seeking wealth, it's like, oh, no. Like, am I allowed to wear a good watch? Am I allowed to wear a good blazer? Am I allowed to have a nice car? Or is that ostentation? Is that me falling into kind of demonic realm? So what's the deal with that? Is that something you've observed, and where do you think that's coming from? How accurate do you think it is? I'll start with you first, Paul.
I don't really know. I mean, I have a very kind of small little world, so I go to like Regent's Park Mosque or Good Street Masjid, and the imams there, I think, are doing a great job. They're good people. They're paid. So you're making a more general point about the ummah. I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't have that background knowledge. I wasn't born as a Muslim. I don't have that kind of all those experiences, and I don't have that. I can't speak to that, unfortunately.
So I mean, we'd probably be able to relate to this a bit more when you see our local imams and people that have come from traditional seminaries and Darul Ulooms.
So I don't have any experience with that.
Yeah. So those individuals, you won't see them actively promoting themselves on social media. You won't see them actively trying to stand out. These are people that will be giving, like you're saying, there's a fantastic local Dars on Bukhari going on, and probably a handful of people come. Like, it's not advertised, it's not uploaded, there's no audio going out, it's not streamed. And because of that, people think these people don't exist. They hear about social media influencers and imams that charge an arm and a leg. However, the vast majority, I would say, of people of knowledge are very frugal when it comes to money, don't charge, and because of that, they get taken advantage of. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Look, there's two things here. Like, cost of living is going up, right? It's very expensive to live, especially in places like London and other big cities. And it's probably an extension of that anyway. But there seems to be this strange ideology in the Muslim mindset where they feel that anything Islamic should just be fi sabilillah. And I don't understand where that comes from. Where an imam,
comes from the word fi sabilillah, do it for the sake of Allah, brother.
No, but as in somebody who's dedicated 6-7 years to studying the deen, right? They would have had to pay for that study. They would have had to pay for their accommodation, for their living expenses, for being.
But Khalid, this is the word of Allah. Yeah, the word of Allah is not supposed to have a price tag on it. It's supposed to be free. It's supposed to be accessible to people. These people should be doing a service for the religion, not charging people an arm and a leg for it. Do it for free.
Yeah, no. So I get you saying charging an arm and a leg. That's one thing, right? There needs to be some form of middle ground, or potentially some type of a cap where maybe imams can get together and, like they did in the Ottoman times, have guilds, for example, where the guild determines how much these imams charge, for example. Now, to do it for free, I think is an insult on that imam, on his caliber, on his time, on his sacrifice, and his training. Even for female ustadas, for example, as well. It's almost a shame on us as an ummah to think that somebody who has dedicated so much time to a craft is going to be there at your disposal for free.
It's like a Muslim doctor who's trained all those years. Well, why does he deserve to be paid? Well, why pay a doctor? Well, excuse me. I mean, he deserves to be paid for his expertise and his practice. And
you know what's interesting? Today, imams are actually expected to be counselors, therapists.
Yes.
They're expected to be teachers, speakers. They're polymaths, and all just because you're the imam, or just do it for free. Now, again, these are more subcontinent type seminaries or madrasas or masjids that I'm referring to. This isn't common amongst the different cultures. I wouldn't know about the
but
Arabs.
Didn't some of the great scholars in the past, the Muslim scholars, actually have jobs, had trades, and they were scholars as well? They weren't paid agents of the state like in certain Middle Eastern countries. They were independent, and they had jobs, as I say. Al-Albani, the hadith scholar, he was a lens grinder, for glasses. That was his profession. I know he had a job in Medina at one point, but they had independent trades so that they could offer their advice freely. Actually, they did on that occasion.
Yeah, there was definitely that.
Imam Abu Hanifa also, he used to work as well, and he was very rich. In fact, he sponsored his student Imam Abu Yusuf as well.
The thing is, most of these big mashayikh, they all had trades, so they all came from some form of a trade. However, during the time when Islam was prevalent, Islam was in governance, then these positions were paid. So the position of an imam was paid, the position of a muazzin was paid, and they were the highest paid jobs because the criteria for those imams.
But this is when there was
really
an Islamic government, a caliphate.
Exactly.
There was a caliph. It was Islamic rulership then.
And so it was taken very seriously, and we saw a small glimpse of that very recently during the World Cup in Qatar when. Lots of people were coming from all around the world, and what they did was they sent out a memo to some of the best mu'adhins in the world, and they were like, if you are a mu'adhin of a very high caliber, please get in contact with us.
I didn't know that.
And these mu'adhins were brought in just so that they could give the adhan, because it's something that invites people to the beautification of that adhan.
It can be very powerful.
And lots of people were putting it on social media at the time. Oh, this is so beautiful, look at this. So it's quite smart in terms of how they did that, but that should also be there for the Muslims on a general basis. The imam should be of a caliber where, I don't know if you ever saw that advert, you can probably Google it and find it. There was an advert for when the Blue Mosque was first opened in Turkey. Have you seen this? So there was an advert for, you will see it if you find it, an advert for when the Blue Mosque was first opened, and it was the post of Imam. And there were so many different things on that. The Imam should be able to speak Arabic, Turkish, Latin, understand metaphysics, know mantiq, should be able to ride a horse, should be good looking, should have a
good bricklayer.
Should have a good looking wife. Because then he's not going to be tempted anywhere else. But he also needs to be good looking, so he's pleasant to look at when he speaks. A good orator, good storyteller, master of
a lot of these things are fiqh.
Let me guess, they had no applicants at all, did they?
No, they've got some great applicants. But this is the caliber for having an imam in a Jamia mosque, for example, was really high, and rightfully so.
And I think over there, they, like here in some of our areas, they'll have a similar list, but then the remuneration does not match what they're asking for. In Turkey, I'm pretty confident that they will be matching their kind of what they're expecting with the right amount to go with it as well.
But that was at the time of Devlet Osmaniya, so it was at that time.
You mentioned the football World Cup at Qatar, and that brings an interesting kind of comparison, which is that if you look at how much footballers get paid and how much teachers get paid, and we're talking about obviously Muslims and Islam, but even if you look at a secular level, in the UK, they're struggling to hire competent teachers. Why? Because obviously it's bureaucratic. There's so much paperwork. The kids are so undisciplined. Well, frankly, they don't get paid enough. If you look at a footballer, how much they're making in 5 minutes is ridiculous. It wipes out the salary of the teacher. Now, bearing all of that in mind about how obviously, let's face it, we want people that are stupid. If you compare, say, an intelligent person with a rich person, who do you think people will want to befriend? But who do you think?
Well, I prefer to speak to
people generally.
Okay, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm guessing what you're implying. It'd be the rich person.
The rich person. Why? Because there's something to gain from that person.
Well, there's something to be gained from the intelligent person, possibly knowledge, interesting conversation, friendship. These things are tangible. Don't go like that.
My naive Paul.
You're simply kind of a tabloid caricature of the general population. They're all kind of they have no standards, no interest. I mean, excuse me.
It's absolutely, unfortunately, the direction that the general masses are going towards, and it's something that they want the people to be going towards. Why? Because an informed, educated public is a danger to the powers that be. That's why you had the concept of the breads and circuses, to keep the people distracted. You don't want them too intelligent, and even the ones that are intelligent, like the stuff that we'll be reading and talking about, these aren't part of the curriculums. Not at the standard that we expect them to be, or they should be in the real world. There is a school level education, a uni level education, and there is the school of life.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, this is how to do your taxes, how to grow your own food, knowing what's this and that was good for your body, what's not, how to do conflict resolution. These are things that are very important in a person's life. They're not taught in schools. But coming back to the money and the luxury and all that sort of stuff, how has that materialized, do you think? This love of money, how have you guys seen it being materialized in the Ummah?
Well, I don't know. The Ummah's over 2 billion people. I don't know. But we live in a very materialist world. The many Muslim majority countries seem to be emulating or aping, that's the right word, the West in terms of economic and political and social kind of patterns of behavior. Like mentioning countries, but there's certain countries that seem to be very much trying to encourage this kind of attitude, this kind of hedonistic wealth creation, trying to become like the West in some ways. And I'm not sure that's a good thing at all. If it means that other objectives, there's nothing wrong. As Muslims, we don't think that wealth creation is wrong. We're not like some Christian sects who think that wealth is just disgusting and evil. We don't think that. You can be rich and be a Muslim as long as you're giving charity, of course, and you're not obsessed with it. But it seems that the Middle East, some countries, particularly in the Muslim world, are not really following that advice.
I thought you were going to mention that point. Maybe you alluded towards it, which is that I remember a very profound advice, which is that money should be to a person like water is to a ship. Yeah, for a ship to succeed, the water needs to be outside of the ship. As soon as the water starts entering the ship will sink. Yeah, it will be finished. Similarly, as human beings, money should be outside of our hearts. We use the money. The moment money starts entering our hearts, that's when the corruption of the human beings and the decline of the human beings begins. And that's why the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Hubbu dunya ra'su kulli khati'ah. Love of the dunya is the root of evil. Yeah, if you look at the root of evil, somewhere there'll be someone financing it, someone's money, someone's love for money. And that's what it is. Why is it that you'll see in a lot of our LEDC countries, people are easily bribed? Why? Because they give priority and preference to my family, our survival, us doing this. The whole notion of the Ummah got divided. I think it was probably exemplified with the divisions of the nation state, when people said, beyond our border, it doesn't matter. Whatever's in our border, these are our people. Yeah, this is who we have a responsibility to. But this is a Western construct. Yeah, it's not necessarily a construct of the Muslims. We had empires,
exactly,
the caliphates,
exactly.
that transcended borders. And it's this thing that I think is a big issue nowadays. Whenever issues happen, it's the Palestinians, it's the Sudanese, it's the Yemenis, it's the Pakistanis. Okay, then eventually it's going to be you mug, and then there's going to be no one left. So this is very problematic. And we mentioned capitalism at the beginning, and because this is the dominant economic structure at this moment in time, and everybody follows it, and the West is leading in this regard, that's why you will see certain countries in the Middle East now copying the whole notion of appealing to celebrities, appealing to certain holidays like Halloween and this and that. Why? Because they want to increase the tourism industry. They want to be people that are appealing to the millionaires, the billionaires, whoever it is, so they can come to their countries and revive the economy. Yeah. Now, firstly, you mentioned that that's not something which you think is a good idea. People watching, they'd say, well, what do you expect us to do? We have had oil-rich countries. Our oil supplies are running out. The next best thing is tourism, bringing people in. We've been spending so long keeping people out, not being very hospitable. Well, now for our survival, this is something that we have to do. Why are you guys hating on us? Are you hating on them?
No, I think there's some, to get all very political for a second, I'm a great admirer, and I shouldn't say this really, but I am a great admirer of Qatar as a country. I think it's ruled very well. It's not a democracy, but hey, so democracy isn't the end of life.
Plato didn't like democracy.
But Plato didn't like, and he's the greatest philosopher of the ancient world. So everyone likes him and reads him. So, and Jesus Christ, peace upon him, never mentioned democracy as an important thing in the kingdom of God. It was just never mentioned. Excuse me, why didn't he mention democracy? Yeah. Anyway, forget about democracy a second. No, Qatar, it seems to me, what little I know about it, have used the revenue from their gas resources that they had to build a very modern country with excellent infrastructure, free transportation. It's very clean, very modern. They haven't gone overboard, I don't think, in just sucking up all the wealth just for a few people. Yes, there's an elite, wealthy elite, of course, but they seem to have done they seem to have pursued policies which benefit the majority of the population. I'm not saying it's a perfect society, it's not. So it's possible, I think, to have an Islamically informed economic policy which does make good use of the revenue, and they are planning for the future when 50 years or so, when the gas whatever runs out. So I think it's possible to do, but there are other countries.
I can supply them with gas.
Well, yeah.
I've got plenty of it.
Plenty, but there are other countries. I won't name them. Who seem to be much more into just crude wealth creation in a way that doesn't really seem to be Islamically informed. And some countries not too far from there seem to be doing this. So I think there is good practice we see in the Muslim world. And there's not so good practice, and there are other countries like Syria which have been held back from becoming modern and in a good way by sanctions by appalling dictators. But inshallah, things are changing there for the good. So I think it's a complicated picture.
I think this was one of the books that actually got me into politics. It was a very simple read. It wasn't very difficult. And John Perkins, I think, kudos to him. It's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Yeah, he was hired by America to go into countries and to get them to acquiesce to American policies and help them get their foot in. Yeah, and one of the strategies that he said that were used, and he's not somebody that is, look, the international word of mouth bestseller, it's just a really good book. And one of the things that he said was that one of the strategies that was used was they went to the political elite, offered them women of their choice. So you had people that were brown, they desired the white woman. And because of that, they fulfilled that desire of theirs. And then because of that, and there was a bit of a give and take. And because of that, they were able to get their foot in. And then as they got their foot in through, of course, selling their own women, then what happened was, okay, now we've got our foot in, we'll bring you to the 21st century. Yeah. We'll give you the technology that will bring you to the 21st century. And he says the clever strategy that they used to do that was that if something happens to the technology that we built for you, only we're going to have the parts to fix it. Only we're going to have the know-how to fix it. Yeah. So in other words, for 30 odd years, where it's a full-time employment for us. You know what I mean? That's we're sorted for life. Very clever technique. I must give it to them. But it's a technique that, unfortunately, again, what was the root of that? Hubbud dunya.
That's right.
Yeah. We desire said woman. Yeah. We desire this type of woman. And then, I'll offer you this woman. Okay. At what expense? At what cost? The cost of your people. Or just let our contractors come in, or just accept this political strategy that we're trying to employ in your country, and this and that, this oil corporation, let them come in. And then he mentions all of this, bro, and it's very readable. But this again is linked to this point that it's like one of the arch nemesis of Sherlock Holmes was somebody called Charles Augustus or Augustine
Moriarty.
No, Mawson. Mawson, that's how he pronounces it.
Oh yeah.
Moriarty is obviously the classic, Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes. But Charles Augustine Mawson, this guy, he had something called a pressure point. Everyone he believed has a pressure point. Could be your kids, could be your family, could be your home, could be a friend, could be this, could be that. His job is to find out what that pressure point is, and when he finds that pressure point, then obviously he'll exploit it. This is what mafia leaders say. Everybody's got a weakness. You don't want to pay, you don't want to do this. Tomorrow you find out your daughter's been kidnapped. Tomorrow you find out, they're at your mum's house or something like that. So a person that cannot be bought and sold, a person that cannot be honey trapped, like they honey trapped my man Fidel Castro. Yeah, many times they tried to honey trap him, and they were even interviewing the woman that was supposed to honey trap him, and then they were asking her, they're like, look, how was it? Like, so what happened? She was like, I was there, and just casually he said to me, look, I know you're here to kill me, but you can't kill me. And then they go, okay, what happened after that? She goes, we made love after that. so here you had Fidel Castro, who was honey trapped. He made use of the honey trap, but yet he wasn't compromised in any regard. Now, honey trapping is something that they say has even been used against Hamas, has even been used against loads of people. But again, it's that weakness, and it's what comes back to your point about one of the criteria of a Turkish Imam, and even in the books of fiqh, which is to have a good-looking wife, to be happily married. Otherwise, then you're going to be dealing with the problems of the Ummah, and then you're going to be, going left and right and causing issues.
The thing is, we've all been psychologically honey-trapped. And that's happening to this day. The systems that are in place, which you just described there.
With these rap battles, bro.
Yeah.
But no, you have to rewind that. Rewind that thing, Ak. Rewind that thing. Hit them with that line again.
It was off the cuff. I can't remember what I said. No, basically,
you said
we've all been psychologically honey-trapped.
Mm-hmm.
The weaknesses that we haven't integrated within ourselves are easily exploited by people who understand our minds better than us.
Advertisements, movies, this, that.
So you're saying to keep money outside of who you are, right? Outside of your heart. The problem is if I can tap into what your heart desires, and you now have the resources in order to fund that, then I now have the perfect storm. And this has been happening to the Muslim Ummah since the fall of the Caliphate. We have to look at timelines here, and it's important. Now, you've all heard of J.D. Rockefeller, right?
He's going there.
He's going there. Yeah,
I'm going there. 'Cause you called me Ike last time, didn't you? So it's like I might as well go there. But I'm not going to go there fully. But I just want Muslims to learn history, to read history, to understand how history has influenced where we are today. Read people like Ibn Khaldun, read people like Ghazali, for example, and try to understand how Razi ties in all of these. These were the three people that I looked at when I was looking at this subject. Understand how influential J.D. Rockefeller was in terms of the model by which all of us are now using. The model is created to be invisible until it's too late. So the moment you notice that the model is working on you, it's too late. You're sucked in because you now have opened up your heart to these desires. This system understands what your desires are, and you now have the wealth in order to be able to fund those desires. So rather than funding purpose, wider projects, things that can help, what you're doing is you're satiating the vacuum inside you. And now what's happening is we're completely individualistic rather than Umawi. Rather than being a collective, we're thinking about nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. And this is where the problem lies. We've got this Islamic heart, but we've got this Western operating system. And that's where we're failing, because
rewind that. A Western operating system.
I think people are waiting for you to do this to me. You know that now.
I'm not sure I agree with you.
Go on.
I'm not sure I agree. I'm going to offer a counterfactual.
Yeah, please do.
Well, what's happened over Gaza and the response to that? There's been a huge, not just Muslims, but mainly Muslims, a sense of solidarity and outpouring of concern and passion about the injustice of what's happening, and this is causing the political elites in the West a lot of upset because like in Britain we've had several independent MPs elected precisely on one of their main planks was campaigning for Gaza to call this out, because the main political parties just don't care, or colluding with the genocide, and so it's actually not allowed for us as Muslims, say in Britain or in any other European country, to have this kind of transnational Ummah-centric perspective. It's seen as unpatriotic and extremist and dangerous. Although, of course, when it comes to other things, like other groups, they're allowed to do that. You know, they're passionate concern for Israel. We stand in solidarity. As a British Jew, I'm not, by the way, I'm saying British Jew, I can stand in solidarity with Israel. The British Jewish journalists who say this openly, they're not criticised. But what this whole thing shows us is that Muslims are passionately concerned for the wider ummah, and this is causing problems because we're getting backlash for it. So I don't think we're entirely individualist. Yeah, of course we all are to some extent, but that we are acutely aware because we see it on TikTok and X all the time. We're passionately concerned about our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we are passionately concerned, but there is still hubb ad-dunya.
Of course.
وَقَرَاحَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Problem is how much are you willing to give up? Like we did see a lot with boycott. Let me just finish this. We did see a lot with boycotts, for example.
Yeah.
But the blood that's being spilled in Sudan at the moment will be one person texting. And I'm not saying everybody here, and I'm trying not to be, assailing the whole ummah. But you'll have people saying, look at the blood being spilled in Sudan, and then the next day they're taking a picture in the Burj Khalifa. Like, come on, bro. Like, get serious for a minute. The problem is, it's really easy to use maxims and slogans, but then to give up things that you love, things that you're used to, things that have been created as a vacuum in your heart, and now you've got to give that up because now the vacuum exists again. Because you've bought the thing to put in your heart to fill that vacuum. It's not the right thing, it's the wrong puzzle piece. But now you've taken that out, you've boycotted something that you really loved, and now you're feeling it. And the problem is, and I have to be very careful with the way I say certain things as well.
Be very careful, Khalid.
He's being sarcastic, by the way.
I know he is, but the thing is, look, and people will probably know what I'm thinking, and I'm not saying this because I'm promoting anything. I'm not. I'm just trying to be objective about this, which is, yes, we've got the Islamic heart, which suffers and feels and wants to be able to be there.
We all do. We're talking about it now.
But this Western operating system is, we've been told certain things we can't talk about anymore. You talk about this, you're in Guantanamo. You talk about this, we're going to send you. You're trying to incriminate me now. No, I'm talking about being able to, for this ummah to be able to defend itself.
Yeah.
I there's a lot of truth in what you say, but I just don't see it.
It's a lot of falsehood as well.
No, it's not falsehood. I just think it's more complicated. I think that I saw something online today, which reporting about France and how leading members of the Jewish community in France have openly, in the last few days, spoken of how they collaborate with the security services to gather intelligence on the Muslim population in France, and how this goes directly back to the Israeli government. There's not a conspiracy theory. They've said this in public speeches at certain gatherings, and these are very, very senior French Jewish people. Now, I mentioned that, but the fact that it was Middle East Eye, this is Middle East Eye online, the fact that they're reporting on this, and this is being widely circulated, this is unprecedented in human history. We can actually access this information, and we can get it on our phones. We can be aware of what they're doing, and this helps us to respond to what the world around us. So we have alternative media now. We're not just reliant on Fox or BBC or whatever. We have alternative sources of information. We are aware of what's going on to some extent. This is a good thing, and we do care. But we may be powerless. Nothing I can do about anything. But at least we're aware of things, and that's a big change. And I think it's a really positive thing. I think most people are good people. Most people are, and we do care, but we often feel powerless. And how can we deal with this sense of powerlessness in the face of such evil and such conspiracies against our own interests as an ummah?
That's a very good point, because some of our people become very harsh in the sense that, you know what, why is it that back in the days those people were able to get off at the tahajjud and do this and do that, and we're not enticed by the wealth as much as we are? Maybe it's the times, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But there was something that I heard about a week ago that I thought was quite profound. He said that, I think post World War II, scientists were used to send man to the moon. Yeah, that's where all of the intelligence, all the focus and attention pretty much was given. Now those very scientists are employed to keep our attention on social media, to get us to buy all sorts of things. And when you've got intelligent minds using the most intelligent things, frankly, tapping into our primal desires, like this, I'm sure a lot of the viewers are familiar with this, but before, I don't know if you remember, but on Instagram you would scroll, you'd get to the bottom and you'd have to press 2, the second page.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And then, so there were pages there. They noticed that statistically speaking, the amount of people that pressed 2 was significantly less. Cool. So a lot of people dropped off.
Yes.
So they employed something which was very clever. Yeah, I don't know the technical term for it, but it's like the never-ending soup bowl, which is that when you've eaten a certain amount of soup, are you eating the rest to empty the bowl, or are you eating it because you have to eat it? So what they did was they had a hole at the bottom and they were adding more soup. So after half of it finished, they kept adding more. Now the person continued eating in the hopes that he would finish, but that never came. So they actually ate more than they probably would have had it been a regular bowl. Now, applying that never-ending bowl of soup to Instagram, they came up with the never-ending scroll.
TikTok as well.
Yes. Then TikTok took it to another level where you didn't even have to search for something. It literally came to you, and they learned from you just scrolling. How long is he on that video? If he's on this video for more than 5 seconds, we'll give him more of this. Within a day, they would know you. There's jokes to say that, look, there's no person on earth that will understand you, what you're going through, except your Instagram algorithm. That knows you. It listens to you, picks up keywords, gives you those sorts of videos. And if you're feeling melancholy, it will give you those videos. It will know your algorithm. Is he a bit, is he talking about the Austrian painter a lot? Is he talking about,
Austrian painter? Who's that?
Somebody very good brush strokes and, had some interesting works.
What's her name?
Mrs. They go by many names. Oh, really? This is one of the names. So
Natasha.
So like that. Even if that's the sort of stuff you watch, it'll give you more of those videos. If you're somebody that looks towards inspiration, or if you're a new father and you want to see videos with kids, babies and stuff like that,
or cats.
It'll give you more of that. So algorithms now, I mean, just recently I saw a video in which I think in Japan they're releasing a capsule in which you literally have to go in there, sit there, watch something for 20 minutes, and you won't have to lift a finger. It will bathe you, it will dry you, and then you literally just have to come out. And then you're ready. You can be doing other productive stuff there.
Like
scrolling. So it's interesting. Back in the days, the times that it was the same 24 hours in the day. However, they were able to get more done. They were writing books out. Today we've got AI and text, voice to text and this and that. We still can't get stuff done. We still complain, the days are going very quickly. Are we approaching the times of Dajjal? Is Dajjal here?
So Ibn Khaldun said that, he goes, men lose robustness when raised in luxury or in disunity. And that's what this is you've got everything at your fingertips. You've got so much that you actually don't know what to do with it. Whereas if you had one form of transport to be able to get somewhere, you will rely on that. And if that's just your feet, then you're going to use all of yourself to get there, for example. Now, the issue is a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, a lot of people are working because they need to work. They work because they have to survive. They work because they have to pay bills. They work because they have to pay for some of the luxuries that they want in order to make their lives feel a little bit better as well, whether that's cars or Netflix subscriptions or whatever it is. You need money to do this. A lot of people work in places that they don't like.
True.
Right? And so more than half of your life is spent at work, so that when you do come home from something that you disliked doing, what do you want? You want a pacifier, or you want something that can self-soothe, or you want something that can help you forget about what it is that you had to face during the day. And your scroll gives you that, the exact same thing. It gives you that. It gives you everything that you're interested in. It gives you everything that is the vacuum in your heart.
Although I agree with everything I said, I think, I mean, you hopefully you'll agree with what I'm going to say. People recognize the emptiness of this solution, and the alternative, which is a much more profound at every level of life, is Islam. Because it offers a worthwhile thing to do with your life, whether it be dawah or reading Quran or looking after a relative, but also gives you a spiritual objective, a transcendent purpose. It gives you an identity, and so on and so on and so on. At every level, it engages with you in a healthy way. that brings you out of this crap. Yeah. And this is the perfect moment, but always was a good moment, the perfect moment in history for Islam to answer globally the needs of people who are seeing through, young people particularly see through all this. You're absolutely right. And they want profound answers. They want authenticity. They want reality. They want Allah. That's the only answer, and that's all we can offer people, ourselves and other people. So it's not all bad. The good news is, this is a problem, but the good news is there is an answer. And that's why Islam is so popular, particularly amongst young people, because it's seen to offer real answers. How do I live my life authentically? Do we just have to invent the wheel every time, or is there wise guidance from our Creator? Actually, there is wise guidance from our Creator. There's a reason why we shouldn't do this, this, and this, because it makes us unhappy. It disconnects us from people, and pornography, makes us unhappy. Seeking pleasure makes us unhappy, but seeking the will of God, in a kind of mysterious way, does fulfill us, satisfy us in a way we may not understand it, but it does actually work. So this is great, actually. We can offer a solution that's not based on platitudes and superficiality and Western kind of consumerism, but something much deeper that fits with our fitra. It actually fits perfectly with our human nature, because we were designed to live according to that fuel, that kind of logic, which is the logic of the deen.
And that solution can only be given if we can snap the person out of their slumber. So when you do come home and you are exhausted and you're looking through the scroll and the scroll is giving you that self-soothing, do you really want to snap out of that in that moment? Because it's physically sending off transmitters in your brain that make you feel relaxed, that make you feel happy.
But it's ephemeral, it's brief, it doesn't last.
Exactly that. It is ephemeral.
But reading the Quran, it never, to me, many people have said this, never seems quite the same every time. It's constantly fresh and new and speaking to one. This offers an enduring pleasure as a byproduct. I'm not saying we should read the Quran for pleasure, although we can, but it's a byproduct because it's satisfying. It's, wow, that's really interesting, that's helpful. This is much more interesting and rich and impactful and authentic. And it's just a book we can get, like the Clear Quran. There's an advert here, but it's not, there's a translation into English of the Quran. Very accessible. And lots of young people in the States have got hold of it. Non-Muslims are reading it, doing TikTok videos. It works. It's the Quran. It's a brilliant translation. So this is the solution to this. It's not to criticize that, but replace it with something else, which does elevate and satisfy.
I think that speaks to then a responsibility on people like ourselves to be able to provide tools by which people can then access these solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there are too many competing and fleeting things on offer to them. So, for example, the Quran is, as you said, there are gems that you will get from there every single time.
Exactly.
But how do I give somebody the correct tools by which they can chisel away and get to those gems? Because they might find the process of getting to the gem arduous or difficult, or maybe they just don't know how to do it. And so it's for us to be able to give them those faculties, give them the critical thinking, give them the ability to understand what tafsir looks like, help them understand, what this verse relates to in the current climate, for example. And I think there are lots of scholars who are doing that now as well. So I absolutely agree with you in terms of the Quran is definitely the solution. The Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is definitely the solution.
Exactly.
But how do we then, and this sounds really bad, but how do we then make the Sunnah and the Quran almost come up at the same level that it can compete with what?
But my own view, I could be wrong, is that we don't try and do that. Why? It's like how do we make someone embrace Islam? We don't. It's not our business. It's God's business. God's turn. God, He will induce people, incline people. He will, according to His will and wisdom, He will bring people in. It's not our job in that sense to worry about how to get people to become Muslims. That's His job to make it possible in His own good time. I don't know, that sounds like a platitude, but I really feel ultimately He really is God's. It says in the Quran, it's the Prophet Muhammad upon the peace, don't you worry about them accepting the message. Even the Prophet himself don't worry about it. God will do it. I think, okay, that's a huge weight off my shoulders then as a ordinary person. I don't have to make people accept Islam.
I'll add a different dimension to that, or maybe another point of view, which is that you mentioned that people are searching for authenticity, which which I thought was quite interesting, because if you look at a lot of things nowadays, there's a lot of fakery.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of facade. The Japanese have a technical term for it, which is wearing multiple masks. You've got a mask for work, you've got a mask for your wife, you've got a mask for your friends, and then you've got the real self, which is under all those masks. And today there's so many masks. Makeup is a mask, surgery is a mask, filters is a mask, surgery, Botox, these are masks. Is that your car? No, it's rented. I'm just using it for a video. Are these these bracelets, are they yours? No, that's rented for a music video as well. So a lot of these things, Riz, a man, when he's trying to riz up a woman, that's a facade. Like Riz, like chat up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
When you're trying to chat up a woman, you're using certain lines, but that's not really you. You can't really offer her that. That's not really the view that you subscribe to, and she's only really gonna know when you guys are married, and then you're paying the bills and you're in a high stress situation, and suddenly, where's the romantic Romeo gone now? That was all a facade. I can say, where's the beautiful Juliet gone? After those layers of makeup, what I mean? Like, I didn't marry this thing, this ogre. So bearing all of that in mind.
This is not you speaking from your experience.
Absolutely not. I don't fall for such things. Alhamdulillah. So here's now the thing, that we're talking about the West not being a good role model for us. And I think the author of this book, that I think he makes a very good point, that the West, compared to Islam, actually enforces its morals on the rest of the world through wars and the likes, whilst the Ummah does not. We'll preach Islam, but we have a very special principle, which is engraved in the Quran, which is there's no compulsion in religion. However, when you look at their liberal, feministic, escapades, it's literally forced. It's incentivized. In Pakistan, there are certain English teachers and seminaries that get paid an extra bonus for putting forward LGBT.
In Pakistan?
In Pakistan, yes. This was on Fox News at the time of Biden. Poland.
US foreign aid, but that stopped. Trump has stopped all that. I mean, he's literally abolished the whole US foreign aid.
Well, he says a lot of things, but people say that he is somebody that he will say one thing, but the reality of the thing will be different. I mean, Keir Starmer's, one such individual. Poland, I remember there were a couple of places in Poland that were not friendly towards LGBT, and they were threatened because they received a set amount, and they were threatened of losing that amount. So bearing that in mind, they claim moral superiority on arbitrary values. Now, arbitrary values, if you actually analyze, what is right, what is wrong, from a secular liberal framework, where are you getting right and wrong from if there's no religion? If we're divorcing religion, what is right, what is wrong? What are we measuring it by? With the harm principle? Well, we already know the harm principle has so many holes in it. It's not sufficient to drive the West. So what is it? What, pleasure? I mean, this is Jeremy Bentham. If pleasure outweighs pain, it's good. If pain outweighs pleasure, therefore it's bad. I mean, this echoes a sentiment of the Quran, which is, have you seen those that have taken their desires to be their gods? Literally tackling at the heart of the issue. Like, prove that your liberal framework, your foundations are true objectively. Can you prove it? No, they don't believe in objectivism. It's all relativity. It's all subjectivism, which for the viewers quite simply means it's up to the people. The people decide. Today we may decide it's okay, to, cover, said part of our body. Tomorrow we may agree not to cover said part of our body. It's up to the whims and desires of the people at large. So is this what you're really offering us? I mean, we have to raise the curtain. And we have to say and look at what's being offered here.
Well, this is why Islam has the answer. It has a metaphysics. It talks seriously about God as the solution, about God creating the universe and being a designer. It's all there as the metaphysics and the theology and the deen. The West can't offer that. It used to, in its own way, during the period of Christendom, in the medieval period, and then obviously abandoned that afterwards with the Enlightenment and so on. So Islam is the only serious challenge to this kind of relativism in the world. Yeah, they're tiny little sects, but the only major player really is Islam. And we know this, and Muslims know this, and the rest of the world probably gets it as well, actually. So
the dimension that I forgot to add, which was that you were saying that, look, we do whatever we can, and it's Allah's job, his role to bring the people in, and there's definite truth in that, because ultimately if guidance is meant for you, it's meant for you. But I think there definitely is, and I think the youth are doing a good job. I've seen a few Instagram pages in which there are brothers that are not compromising their religion.
Absolutely.
And they are making content which is very appealing. In fact, I think there's this brother Harris that mentioned me, and there's another brother from Malaysia. If you look at their videos, they understand the algorithm. Every 3 seconds there needs to be a shot change. You need to be outside, you need to be coming in, using transition, using motion graphics and this and that, and they get good views. They're not watering down the religion. They're talking about the Quran and Sunnah, and they are doing a fantastic job.
This is it.
And that's the thing. This is what the Gen Zs or the people watching, that they could say, look, these are my people. I want to do more.
You're absolutely right. There's so much good news around. We tend not to, because we take it for granted. As I've said before, discovering I did a while ago just how pious and how practicing Muslim youth are, perhaps more so than their parents, who are more practicing than their parents. There seems to be a generational increase in practicing Islam, and this is amazing. I mean, if I meet a Sunni Muslim in any context, I have a pretty good idea what they think and believe on key matters, on whether it be LGBT or God or the prophets, because they're following Sunni orthodoxy, the classical Islam. This is remarkable. There's no other religion that's like that. If I was to encounter a Christian on the street and said, well, I would not know in advance what they believe about anything. They may not believe Jesus is God. They may believe in gay marriage. They may believe in abortion. They may be opposed to covenant. I have no idea. You cannot know. Even if they're Roman Catholics, and most Catholics don't support the church on a whole range of issues like abortion and contraception and so on. So that Islam uniquely has that capacity to be unified and to maintain the strength of its faith and the unity of the Ummah, despite all the divisions we see from nation states and whatnot. It's a remarkable phenomenon, actually, and we just take it for granted. Well, maybe we don't. But this is amazing good news, and it's utterly unique, and something we should be very conscious of. And as you say, particularly with young people who are amazing when it comes to practicing the faith.
Yeah, that amount of creativity that I've seen, and hopefully we can put that up on the screen, some of their pages. But some of the creativity, I was literally left in awe that this is what we need. And we need more of this, rather than you guys using your talent on COD and these games in which it's literally a black hole. It just sucks your energy, your creativity. You don't really get much out of it. Now, and they're saying that for GTA 6 to really be a game that defies a generation, it will need to bridge that gap. That achievements in the game should mean real life worldly benefits, even an economic system or this or that, which will be very interesting. And if they do that, it's frankly, it's not going to be a good idea.
I'm really worried about that game, man. I'm worried about that game becoming some form of vortex and people getting lost in it completely.
Absolutely.
And that being the bridge between reality and augmentation. Because if it's giving you worldly benefits through it as well, what's the reason for you to come out of it? And I just find that really, really scary.
And I think we mashallah talked about some really interesting and really profound topics. One thing that I think it's interesting is that we didn't talk about last time, which is role models. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ should be our role model. I actually uploaded a video of a child that was waiting outside of the hotel of Haaland, who's a Manchester City football player, and he'd be waiting there for 11 hours with his father. That's what the caption said. And Haaland drove past. It was nighttime, and he drove past because he was like on the roadside. So he just drove past him. There's no obligation on Haaland to stop. But then what I mentioned in the video, and a lot of people resonated with this, was it's the father to blame over there. Why is the father propping up other people as role models for his son when he should be the role model himself? He should be imbuing qualities like that in him, that his son sees him as the role model. So of course the Prophet ﷺ is our role model in terms of, like, we discuss masculinity and these and frankly how to live as a good, decent human being. But secondly, it should be the father. The father should be the home, is the madrasa in the home, the one that the son looks towards for morality, for discipline, for anchorage. Now, bearing this in mind, when the father's not home, when the mother is doing her thing or whatnot and not available, the child is now left online looking at others. They do not understand that the algorithm is determining who they see. Whoever they are seeing a lot, they assume that person is popular and that person is somebody that is well known and part of groupthink. We are under the impression that, hey, if everybody likes said person, he must be good, he's popular, he's getting a lot of views, he's getting a lot of hits. Now, bearing this in mind, if you look at some of the role models that are there, like being in South London, a lot of people come from a background in which their music preference is rap, or grime. Now, some of the names, Skepta, somebody that recently we saw him in a video, he's wearing a dress. Drake, he used to be one of the most popular rappers until he got smashed by Kendrick Lamar. But Drake was seen with yellow fingernails. You had Lil Wayne, who was seen kissing his music producer, and their claims that, you know, they were partners. Now, bearing that in mind, when you've got some that are trying to make our youth effeminate, then on the other hand, you've got this culture which is very loud, just shouting at the camera to get people to stop scrolling. Muslim content creators try this, but I don't think they've been doing it in a negative sort of way. They're speaking sense, but it's just that approach is not everyone's cup of tea. But shouting, and even weird people, bro. The streamers, they have very odd conversations, very weird characters. They look like they're not mentally there.
They're probably not.
And people love that. Some of them are putting on an act because it's more cool to be stupid. Especially for, you know, the youth and streamers and the likes. Now, if the parents aren't around and they're not giving adequate role models, then frankly your kids are going to be like this. They're going to be shouting at you, they're going to be screaming, they're going to be sick. Bro, even this thing of 6'7", even when you search this up, everyone's doing it. Even Keir Starmer did it as well. He was in a primary school and he was 6'7", and then teacher goes to him afterwards, they get in trouble for doing that. He goes, oh sorry, I didn't know that. But search this up. What is 6'7"? No one knows. Like, it emerged from a rap video, it's then taken up. It doesn't mean anything. They just do it for the sake of doing it. So now even the actions that people are copying, they don't know why they're doing it. And there are adequate psychological studies to say, like there's let's just say there are 10 people, 9 people are plants. One person in that doctor's surgery is a regular member of the public. After every maybe 10 minutes, the 9 plants will stand and then sit down. And this person is just there like, oh, what do I do? Then it happens again, and then he's like halfway, maybe I should do it, maybe not. Then the third time, he does it. After 10 minutes, he stands up. After there's a beep, stands up, sits down. Then slowly, what they do is, there's 9 plants, they remove one by one, and they replace them with the public. And they realize by the end, all 10 people are members of the public, and they're all standing after 10 minutes because it's a beep. Why? because they're supposed to. They don't know why.
And this is a great example of kind of the social conditioning. We are social animals in our society. We're constantly I may be a Christian who doesn't approve of this practice, say gay marriage, but I'm repeatedly told on social media, on my favorite soap thing, that it's good. No, I don't agree. It's good. Okay, a year later, okay, maybe it's not so bad. It's good, and then ultimately you just accept it.
Yes.
Because everyone else says they accept it. A collective, a social whole where we fit in. We want to be part of that. We don't want to be the oddball or one out. And that's why a connection with God and regular prayers is so important, that we are connected to a different reality, which actually is truth, and not this kind of brainwashing. That's a great illustration of how weak we are actually as individuals in this social collective. We are easily manipulated, but by advertisers, by political actors, by ideologies that change us, which is why you got it's great videos of people like Obama and Clinton opposing gay marriage in the early 90s, saying no, we are against that, and then all of them and others being for it 5 years later, as if they all just collectively, individually changed their minds. Yeah, right. No, because they went with the flow, just like your example. So even presidents are subordinate, submissive to this social change. Isn't it interesting how weak even they are? As in, they can't dissent from this. They've got to go with it. And if presidents don't have that power, how much less do we have? Unless we are connected to our Creator and praying and reading the Quran, then we have an authority greater than a US president, the Creator of the universe.
SubhanAllah. So true, so true. And that's, I think, what a point that I really want to drive home, that the phones, although we give excuses and say, look, our kids need phones, they need to call home. Even this notion that if something dangerous happens to your son's being robbed, what's he going to do? 1 second, let me call my mom. Mom, I've just been robbed. Tell ya yaar, 1 second yaar. Yeah, mom, you're just being robbed.
I'm just going to hand them my phone now as well.
Look, the algorithm nowadays has the best minds working on it. Yeah, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, they may seem free, but it's not free.
Of course it's
not. The cost is your attention. The cost is your morals, your values, which are slowly drip fed via the alpha waves, because alpha waves is when your brain is at a state of receiving.
That's right.
Not interacting like we are, beta stage, the beta waves in our brain. So when your brain is an alpha and you've got these geniuses working on algorithms, and you've got all these people that are trying to make money of content, trying to siphon off your attention, as a parent, as an educator, you have to be there for the kids and tell them this, because anything else that's addictive, you get to do when you're 18. Alcohol, 18. Smoking, 18. Drugs, 18. When it comes to technology and these things, it doesn't matter. But these things have more of a detrimental effect than...
And behind all of this, in the unseen, are the shaitans. I mean, this is the primary reality. What is their mission, according to the Quran? Is to draw us away from God. And they strategize and they entice and they whisper into the hearts of men to I don't know, look at this and do that and not focus on it. So there is a real spiritual, this is real conspiracy theory. The Quran tells us is really going on behind the scenes. By the way, with easy ways to deal with this, but nevertheless it is a reality. And this is never mentioned, actually. It's interesting, we talk about social media, no one mentions the spiritual unseen dimension of active malevolent powers that are seeking to whisper in the hearts of mankind, to draw them away from God. And this is the fundamental reality. All the rest is secondary, I think. They are means through which these agencies, exploit and entice human beings like us.
There's a brother that I know, and I don't want to give too much away, but he used to be a bodyguard for these celebrities. Yeah, and again, I can't mention the celebrity because she's known to sue people anytime they open their mouth against her. Yeah, she's an A-list celebrity, very popular. And he said when I was there, before she went on stage, she drank from a chalice. And then when she left, I was checking because it looked a bit red. I thought maybe it was Ribena or something. I checked inside, it was blood. So when you mentioned that there are these demonic practices, you've got their bodyguards saying that they do go into a dark room, we do hear chanting. This stuff is real. It does exist. There are powers that be that are seeking to, not only these scientists that are trying to manipulate the algorithm, but you have these demonic things, certain frequencies, certain colors, certain incantations, certain words, they do have an effect, especially putting a child in front of that sort of stuff. And you saying, oh, I'm trying to put food on the table. Bro, go to work less. Feed your children less. Just be around for your kids at the time they need you. Eat less, dress less, do less, but be there for the kids. If you're giving them all of this, they're not going to have the discipline to understand and appreciate that, and you're going to lose your kids regardless.
You know, this is often not talked about, because when we do start speaking about the powers that be behind much of this, we either get called kooks or, like, you know, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Doesn't make it less true. Just because
absolutely right. And now look, for example, one of the co-founders of the way rocket propulsion was used to send satellites into space, Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons gave a pledge to who? A Dajjal. He said that himself.
You can find this on Wikipedia.
The name Dajjal.
The viewers should actually Google this name, and there's actually a Wikipedia article about it. This is not fantasy. This is real.
It's not. Exactly. And so, you know.
Did you say Israel or Israel?
And so when and now the satellites are up in the sky, and that's what's communicating with each other. And there's a weak hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said that the muwasalat will speak to each other, the dishes will speak to each other, which is literally it's that. And muwasalat is a dish, and even in the Arab countries, and muwasalat is what satellite dishes are even called. And so it's ajib to think that we should be remiss of these things. They are very real, and the ummah is in a state of unified trauma. All right, since the fall of the caliphate, since the introduction of that Rockefeller style education system that then took over big pharma, that then replaced madrasas, that then replaced holistic healing, all of the things that the Quran and that the Sunnah teaches you to do. Have critical thinking, have madaris, understand metaphysics. When a lay person in the street can argue metaphysics with you, how are you going to rock that person? And the Muslim Ummah was full of this stuff. And we're in this state of trauma because there was almost like a nuclear bomb was thrown on the Muslim Ummah when this caliphate fell. When the caliphate fell, what happened after this was very insidious. Education systems were changed. Language was replaced. Critical thinking was replaced. Now we're in this state of ghafla, almost heedlessness. We're trying to hold on to an Islamic identity, but we don't know how to do it. The influences that be were pulling strings from all over the place. T.E. Lawrence, for example, when he mobilized certain groups in the Arabian Peninsula to then come up and become more prevalent than others, what did that do? That dismantled the madhahibs. That dismantles the khanqahs in these areas where people were going to these khanqahs for tazkiyah, basically. For exactly the tools you need to get away from social media. These were shut down, right? The qadis, the places where the qadis were, the judges, that was closed down. The traditional madaris closed down. Arabic is one of the most, if not the most richest language on planet Earth, right? There's 14 inflections for every one verb, man. It's mind-boggling. And while Allah chose Arabic as the language, subhanallah, it's probably the only language that can actually do justice to what Allah is trying to deliver to us. And even that is just a speck. And that speck is enough to fill oceans over and over, right? But we've lost all of this. We're trying to hold on to an Islamic identity and run with this whilst being completely disjointed and broken. And I think, you know what it is, man? And if people don't agree with my opinions, that's fair enough, right? I'm a traditional Sunni Muslim. That's how my mindset is. I am a madhabi, okay? I follow a madhab, and that's how I am.
Oh, which one?
Maliki madhab. So I follow the school of Medina. But so within the confines of these madhabs, all right, are you laughing now because I'm going to get cancelled probably after this? That's fine.
I'm just laughing that in one sentence you've literally...
I've done everything. Yeah. Because I was building for a long time. I had to, because I saw you put the book away. I thought I'd get this out before we... Yeah. You know, it's... At the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur Rahim. He's forgiving, and He will forgive, and He is Al-Afu, and He will wipe away the sins. But we have to stand in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have to stand in front of the Prophet ﷺ, and he might ask us, what did you do for the ummah at large? Did you do anything to help them? What did you do? You know, the guy from Islamic Spain was be like, I'd created the astrolabe. What did you do? We talked about OnlyFans. Bro, we're not the same.
Yes, but sorry, carry on.
Yeah, we're not the same.
Yeah.
But as in, yes, these are important things for our times. These are the challenges for our times, and this is what we're trying to do. We had one of the richest histories you can imagine, and the moment you become a Muslim, or if you are a Muslim, you inherit that 1400 years worth of tradition. And the only time that we had success in any form was when it was constituted under classical Islamic frameworks. And this is controversial, and I'm sorry if I get deleted after this, I don't care. The modern day, we seem to have this.
You're going to get deleted
Right,
for this.
okay.
No, not for sticking up for Islam.
No. This bit here. And I've said this before. When I first came to the deen, I was very inclined towards one thing, one type of inclination, right? And I found there was a glass ceiling very quickly. I was in Saudi Arabia. I was studying with some sheikhs. One of the sheikhs that I was with, I used to give adhan for the sheikh. He used to lead Salah in al-Haram, for example, right? So we're not talking about small fry here. And I said to him, I feel like there's a glass ceiling, sheikh. He goes, you will find that. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm a layman in this. How come I'm finding a glass ceiling already? And the moment I stepped into the world of the madahibs, I realized I was a very small fish immediately, right? If we are on the haqq and we are on this absolute, perfection of our deen, why is it that we are the most unsuccessful group of Muslims in 1400 years? Us now, this time period now. We're the most unsuccessful. Why? Why did they have success and we don't now? Yes, all of these systems that are in place have corrupted our mindset and the way that we think and the way that we're able to mobilize ourselves. But if we don't go back to tradition, if we don't go back to classical thinking, we're going to be lost, my bro.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. I mean, you're definitely right about staying true to our classical scholarship. I mean, it's the thing that distinguishes us from people of other religion. The fact that we have isnad, the fact that we have tradition, the fact that we have our tafsirs which are preserved, that we have seerah which is preserved, all sorts of these tools. But there's a quote that's very interesting as well, and that is, we respect the past but we don't live in it. And a lot of people, what they do is they idealize the past so much. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, because everything that you said, absolutely. Yeah. So this is a slight nuance that we respect the past, and it was based upon the hadith that you said as well, and I hope you're going to mention it, because that, I think, summarizes our thing really well, which is the fact that a lot of people, because there's this, you had these great, polymaths, and you have all these great people in the past, we're not measuring up to them. We never will. Exactly. But we can try to come as close as possible, pave our own way, and that, I think, is part of that liberation as well, because a lot of people are just living in despondency, saying, what, things are getting worse, and that hadith that you said.
Well, they are getting worse in some way. I mentioned the hadith. I can't remember the exact wording, but the sense that we are on a downward trajectory spiritually. The problem having upon me said that his generation is the finest, and then the most excellent, and then the next most excellent, his generation after that, and the generation. You get the sense of decline within the quality of Muslim life, and so. If it's happening, which it is, this is to be expected. There are lots of hadiths that predict precisely this happening. So we shouldn't be surprised when it does happen. This is the way that it is ordained to be. But it doesn't mean we should just resign ourselves and say we're hopeless.
And that's why a lot of people lose hope, because of this reason. They don't expect it to happen. They're like, oh, why is this happening? I mean,
because this is our test at this time. But for some reason, in the wisdom of God, we are born at this time. This is our test, our struggle. We're not just meant to give up, of course, because we have to do our jihad, our struggle in the time that we're given. That's just the nature of things.
And even like when we get older and we look at, the times when we were young, the times that we're living in now, we'll be like, oh, they were the good old times. Because things are continuously getting worse. And indeed, there are certain principles that we need to hold fast to. There need to be conversations happening on them, and there needs to be more unpacking. But generally speaking, understanding, the forces at play, like we mentioned,
Yes,
social
very
media,
important.
love for the dunya,
Yeah.
and these sorts of things. This is practical, actionable advice that we can take on board today, and we can start, moving forward on that. Because even when it comes to these basic things, unfortunately, people phrase it like there's difference of opinion.
Brother, we have to have tolerance in difference.
Yeah.
That's what we need to have.
Yeah.
You have your opinion, good. I have my opinion,
Yes.
good. At the end of the day, the fact that you said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah means that I will put my shield in front of you to defend you.
Yes.
Because the kuffar only see us as Saracens. They don't see us as, he's a Hanafi, he's a this, he's a Sufi, he's a Wahhabi, they don't see this, they don't care. Quite frankly, you having those divisions is beneficial for them. It's when we're so focused on beautifying the body of the car and not worried about the fact that the car has no engine, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
All right. And apologies, because there was so much that I was trying to hold back, and there's more that I want to say, but I'm gonna contain myself.
Yeah, because that
inshallah.
sort of stuff needs unpacking.
It does. It's
And-
such a big subject, Zishan. It's so big.
And with what we were talking about, it's mostly, where we've just about pierced the layer, which is Hubbud Dunya. And, if you look at some of the questions, I don't know about yourself, but a lot of people that come to the park, the youngsters that come and they're like, Salah, motivation for Salah. Like, what motivation? How do you think I can not be lazy in Salah, become more motivated? That's the level that we're dealing with.
To become aware of Allah.
But
We're not aware of Allah, Zishan. This is the thing. We're aware of our actions. We're aware of how well, you feet to feet, brother. Quickly, he didn't do Rafal Yadain. Oh, he did do Rafal Yadain. Bro, where's your heart?
Yeah.
Your heart left you at the first takbir. What's the point?
Yeah, but doing salah is not based on feelings and wanting to do it. I mean, do I, when I brush my teeth every morning, do I think, do I really want to do it? Nah, I don't feel like brushing my...
Exactly.
I brush my teeth. Last thing, I really can't be bothered. I do it. I brush my teeth. It's the same thing. Do I feel like salah? It doesn't really matter. I do my prayers, and maybe I'll feel differently after them. And if you don't do them, then you notice the absence of connection, and then that's when you realise that something's missing. It gets worse. So it's like any other obligation in life. Very routine things like brushing your teeth or getting up in the morning to go to work or be you have to do it, and this is just like that, except it's even more important than those. So the idea you have to wait to be motivated or I don't feel like it. What has that got to do with anything? Do you wait to be motivated to brush your teeth in the morning? If you do, by the way, and there's something seriously wrong, normal people don't wait to be motivated. They do it. And it's the same with salah.
Ironically, I think that was motivating for people to pray salah. To pray
That's
salah.
what I'm saying. You're looking at it the wrong way.
Exactly.
It's not a question of motivation. You just do it
Very
because you
well
have
said.
to.
And this is why, lastly, this is why certain madhahibs are very, have a lot of emphasis on intention.
Yes.
Before doing something, because like you said here, it's something that you do every single day, but become very cognizant of who you're doing this for and what you're about to do. Makes what you're about to do very real, and even cognitively it connects your brain and your body together. And so that when you make the intention of I need to pray this or whatever I'm praying for the sake of Allah, now your whole your mind and your body is connected, so that when you do pray, you're completely in the prayer. And so there's reasons for these things. They're not just there for no reason.
So let's go to our final segment now, which is the quotes and the books. I'll start off with my quote, which is...
What? That's the way he coughs. Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. And then he speaks. Yeah.
We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like.
Yeah.
Now, this, I think, summarizes a lot of people. I've seen people that are very materialistic, but even when they hear this, they go, oh my God, that is so true. There are people that are going to be coming to my wedding. There are going to be people that are going to be coming to my house. There are going to be people that I'm going to be seeing. I just don't like them. But yet, I'm buying this really expensive thing. Frankly, I don't have the money. I have to borrow it. And just so they'll be impressed, just so they'll validate me. And I think this was very, very profound. I've heard this many times, but I didn't want to get it wrong. This is a book that I wanted to recommend, which is A Thinking Person's Guide to Our Times by Prince Ghazi bin Muhammad. I think he talks about some fantastic things in there. It's definitely a layered book. I remember reading it once where I wasn't too politically aware. I wasn't able to appreciate it. Then when I read it again, probably more appreciating of it. And then now I'm going to read it again. So he talks about several things. There'll be several terms in there that you may be familiar with, may not be familiar with. But one of the things that I mentioned, which was that the West has moral superiority based on arbitrary values. It's something which he, I think, illustrated really well. Who wants to go next?
That's a good recommendation. My book recommendation is this one called Orientalism by Edward Said. This is the Bible of the post-colonial movement. It's absolute classic, absolute central reading if you've not got it. And I'll just read the sentence on the back here. It sums up what it's about. In this highly acclaimed work, Edward Said surveys the history and nature of Western attitudes towards the East, considering Orientalism as a powerful European ideological creation, a way for writers, philosophers, and colonial administrators to deal with the otherness of Eastern culture, customs, and beliefs, and that includes obviously Muslims. He traces his view through the writings of Homer and Flaubert, Kipling, Disraeli, and so on, whose imaginative depictions have greatly...
Disraeli?
Yes, Disraeli, the British Prime Minister, who was actually a Jewish guy who converted to the Church of England.
Really?
But he had very, very Orientalist tropes about the other, very influential. And their imaginative depictions of the other have greatly contributed to the West's romantic and exotic picture of the Orient. And he draws on his own experience as an Arab Palestinian, or there was an academic in the States, living in the West. He examines how these ideas can be a reflection of European imperialism and racism. So this is on most university courses where they look at post-colonialism and imperialism and racism. This is an absolutely foundational text. It's actually really good reading. I enjoyed it a lot. And I didn't really bring a quote, but it was just related to something that we were saying earlier about seeking protection against the evil whisperers. Is the unseen realm, the way it affects our usage of social media and the designs that are going on to basically harm humankind. This is a surah of the Quran, of course, in English. In the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful, say, O Prophet, I seek refuge in the Lord of humankind, the Master of humankind, the God of humankind, from the evil of the lurking whisperer who whispers into the hearts of humankind, from among jinn and humankind. It's one of those amazing surahs at the end of the Quran. So it's something we can pray to protect ourselves against these whisperings from the evil ones.
Absolutely. So the book that I wanted to recommend is Al-Muqaddimah from Ibn Khaldun al-Tunisi. So
a great book.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book, and there's lots of different editions that people can buy as well. So just find the one that's easily accessible for you to be able to read. Ibn Khaldun, medieval polymath, and he kind of goes through. This is an introduction of history from an Islamic lens, but he talks about the rise and falls of empires, and people like Sir John Glubb, for example, took from this work and used that whilst in the Arab world. So the thing is, we've got all of the information, man. We've got all of the information, and people are using that information against us. This is what I'm trying to say. And the quote I wanted to give is from Ibn Khaldun, which is, oppression ruins society, while the ruin of society leads to the weakening and destruction of the state. And so we have to think about how much of our own
break that down for us.
So oppression ruins society, right? So if the leaders are oppressive, but also if we're oppressive to ourselves is like the quote you just said. We use money that we don't have to buy things that we can't afford. Now we're in a perpetual state of being trapped into something, and those who are above you are always going to hold on to you for that. While the ruin of society, so if the society is ruined, then that leads to the weakening and the destruction of the state. So now the state itself, which has unity, which has purpose, which is goal aligned, which is orientated, if underpinned by Islam, has now a more wider understanding of why it exists. When that starts breaking down and those individuals are broken down, it's a really powerful statement, man.
Gosh,
really is.
On that statement, ladies and gentlemen, inshallah you guys have benefited, and we have tried to be as consistent as possible. May Allah allow us to continue with this podcast and spread benefit and grow as we do so. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.